My name is Sean McIntyre, and I've been coming to church here for about a year now. I started coming to First Church about 13 years ago to play basketball on open gym. And we had been out of church for a while, so we decided that we needed to find us a church home. And when I got to thinking about it really hard and long, there was one person that came to mind that every time that I'd seen him was genuinely glad to see me every time I seen him, and it was Pastor Harry. And I decided at that point in time that this is where I wanted to be at. A couple of weeks ago, I walked into a Circle K. I was going to lunch, and I'd walked in to get me a pop and some chips. And as I walked into the store, I seen two guys in the back by the Coke coolers. They was acting real weird and real strange, so I kind of moseyed on back there to see what they was doing, and I noticed that they was real fidgety. And so I turned around at that point and walked away, but I'd kept my eyes on them. And I'd seen them fidgeting around a little bit more, so when I walked back there, I'd seen a guy sticking something into his pants pocket. And so my immediate reaction was, I'm gonna go tell the cashier that these guys are stealing. Well, as I come up the aisle, something stopped me. And I was like, no, you just need to wait. And so I did. I went ahead and finished getting what I was getting, and the two gentlemen got in line. And I turned around and I called one of the guys to come over to me, and he turned around and looked at me. He's like, who are you talking to? I said, I'm talking to you. I said, just come here for a minute. Well, what do you want? I said, I just want to talk to you. I was like, come away from the cash register and let me talk to you. And his friend turned around, he was like, what do you need from us? I was like, look, I just want to help y'all out. Come here. And so they both walked over, and I told the guy, I said, instead of you stealing what you got in your pocket, why don't you just let me pay for it? And the guy just was like deer in headlights. He looked at me and he said, well, what do you mean? I said, instead of you getting in trouble for stealing something, I said, why don't you just let me pay for it? It's no big deal. And so the guy pulled a can of Monster Energy drink out of his pocket. And his other friend said, well, we're struggling bad. We don't got no money, and proceeded to ask me for some money. And I said, I don't got no cash. I said, but I do got means to pay for your drink. And I was like, at least let me do that for you so you don't get in trouble. So he gave me the can of Monster, and I got in line and I paid for it. When I come outside, the boy who had it in his pocket, he was gone. He wasn't around, but his friend was. And I said, here's the drink. Where's your friend at? And he said, well, you spooked him. He said, so he took off across the street. And I said, well, here, give him his drink and tell him, to keep his head up, things will get better. And the guy was like, all right, well, thank you. And I said, hey, you're struggling, right? And he was like, yeah, we're struggling bad. And I said, well, I know somebody can help with that. And he looks at me and says, who? And I said, his name is Jesus. I said, looks like y'all going through some rough times. I said, either you're on something or coming down from something. And I was like, I shared personal experiences. And I said, and I had an encounter with God, and it changed my life. I said, every bad situation in my life just turned positive now. I said, everything that I didn't have any hope in, I have hope in now. I said, it's gave me a new purpose. I said, and he can do the same for you. And he said, well, where do you go to? And I said, I go to church. Well, where can you go to one of those at? So I stopped and I pointed around the area, and we seen about 3 churches. And I was like, look, they're everywhere. And I was like, it might take you 5 or 6 places before you find one that'll fit just for you. I said, but I can guarantee you one thing. I said, churches love new people. And I said, man, they will embrace you. They will love you. I said, and they will treat you like you've never been treated before. I said, once you make this connection with God and find the love of Jesus, I said, it'll turn your life around. I said, you won't feel like you're struggling anymore. And he just looked at me and said, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks. And went on his way. I would have handled that situation before as I would have been judgmental and thought to myself and myself only, look at these guys stealing, so on and so forth, and probably wouldn't have done nothing about it, just went on about my business. Because God is such a main focus in my life now and constantly on my mind and in my heart, I'd say I'm more open now to let him work through me. And And it was just his spirit coming through me. It's hard to put into words, that feeling that you get when you just know that he's inside of you. I really can't explain it. I really can't. I just know that I'm blessed that he's using me to not only help my family, but to help other people and show his love through me like he does for so many of us. So I'm just blessed to be involved with him and have a connection with him.